They say sometimes things gotta break for the sunlight to come in, illuminate. God, you made me feel at home in a world I saw through the eyes of a girl. You color every. They say things that go up must come down, but you got me over the ground, taking me back. And when you're talking to me, I feel like we're the only ones, just you and me. The world spins.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Sibling family channel.
Hi guys, welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel. So this is a video we've been wanting to do for a while, but we had to get a little experience under our belt, I guess, before we could really give advice. So today's video is going to be our top 10 tips for preparing your oldest child, usually an only child, for basically baby number 2.
If you've been with us for a little bit, thank you for staying with us all the time. If you're brand new, please subscribe to the channel right there, the little red button below. It really helps us out. We know that it's been a little bit rocky with posting updates, but we're
getting back. If you guys notice, we've been posting more consistently, and we intend to. And so yeah, so if you guys are new here, we do have 2 daughters. Our oldest is 3 and our youngest is 10 months old, so almost a year. And these are just the things we did to really help our oldest daughter transition into becoming a big sister without some of the issues that come up for parents. Honestly, our oldest has really loved being a big sister. She took to it really well, but a lot of it did get into some of the preparation and things we did to help her along understanding what becoming a big sister was. And she really loves her baby sister. I love their bond, and overall it was a smoother transition. But I do think that some of the tips we're going to share here help that and continue to help that, because you know, things change with kids on a regular. I do have the things we discussed on my phone, and so I might be looking at it, he might be looking at it, but these are just the top 10 things that we could think of that we would tell basically a friend or family member who was having their second child, if they wanted to know like how we got our oldest to kind of transition so well into becoming a big sister. So our first one is that once you do find out you're pregnant, obviously depending how old your first child is, you're going to share it with them in a specific way. If they're a little bit older, it might be a little bit different. If they're a little bit younger, it might be a little bit different. But the first tip is basically actually prepare your child actively for becoming a big sister or big brother from day 1. So once you find out you're pregnant and you're going through the pregnancy, don't wait until you're 8 months pregnant to mention that like they're becoming a big sister or a big brother or what that means, and start prepping. Once you find out you're pregnant, prepare your child along the pregnancy, get them involved, and really inform them. When we first found out we were pregnant with our youngest, our oldest was only a year and a half, 19 months to be exact. And so she was a toddler, but relatively young, and so we had to get creative of how we introduced the idea of a new baby. The first thing I did when it came to that and that concern was talk to my pediatrician. She recommended that for Anna's age, we strictly look at books with illustrations about being a big sister. So that's where we started. Every single night for months, we would read the Big Sister book. We would talk about the baby, but when we would talk about the baby, we would emphasize that this was her sister. This was going to be her. We didn't know it was going to be a girl at the time, but this was going to be her brother or sister. And then when we did find out it was a girl, we explained like, it's a girl, it's going to be your sister. And we just kept her involved, and we just prepped her with books, with talking about babies, with showing her newborns, with getting her around newborns. We don't have a lot of friends that have newborns, but we did, like if we were at the park, she has a couple friends at the park that do have siblings, and we emphasize like, look, so and so has a little brother, and you know, oh look, that's a newborn baby, that's what your sister's gonna look like things like that, introducing that idea in a toddler friendly, age appropriate way. So figure out what age your child is and what age they're gonna be when the baby arrives, and make sure it's age appropriate. Make sure that you're reintroducing the idea throughout the 9 months.
It's very important to just point that do reintroduce the idea, provide supports in there, with quick check-ins like, hey, what's coming in a few months,
the
baby, like be very explicit, be concrete, like this is what's going on.
Include the toddler even before. Well, Sam's getting the dog, but include the toddler even before the baby comes. So when I would take my bump dates, I would let Anna join in some. She liked to put stickers on my belly at one point when my belly got really big. She would ask questions about the baby and I would always answer them age appropriately. Those are some of the things. There's a lot more to how we prepared her. We really, really prepared her, which I think made a difference. But I think that it's a completely separate video. So those are just some of the things. But probably in the next 2 weeks or so, we're going to do a video on exactly everything we did to prepare her. Specifically that tip. We're going to kind of break it down more. So just look forward to that if you want more on how we specifically prepared her. But books were like a number one thing. The second tip is being intentional about how you're going to find time to spend with your oldest once your baby arrives.
What that looks like is completely up to you. You can literally put in a simple Google link inside your phone to remind you, your calendar reminder, setting up a standard calendar on the fridge. We do that. We have a regular monthly plus a weekly one just to keep track of what's going on throughout the day and the week.
Now, I don't want anybody to feel pressure with that tip though, because obviously when the baby comes home, mom is postpartum, baby is brand new, and the toddler, it is a transition. It's a transition for your oldest. The baby is earthside, and it's a transition for the parents as well, going from 1 to 2. But it's it's a transition going from 1 to 2, but you do have to find time for your oldest, but it might take time. You do have to recover first and all that stuff. What we did was we did do a few days, very short, because I am still breastfeeding. I am weaning, but I was breastfeeding fully when Ellie was a baby. And so I couldn't be away from her for long, but we would do short times with Anna. Like we would do taking Anna to lunch by herself with just me and Sam. Or we would do, Sam took her out on a couple daddy-daughter dates, more intentional, more frequently, because the new baby and things like that. I did a mommy-daughter date or 2, and also like getting her used to spending time as a baby. So just being intentional about how you're going to spend time. The other thing is that when I was postpartum, I specifically made sure that I did buy specific toys and activities where we could do it at home, because I couldn't get out, I couldn't leave the baby, but we could do it at home, but together. So when the baby would take a nap, I know there's a million things to do and you're postpartum too, but even taking 15 minutes with your oldest to do an arts and craft project while the baby naps is going to make them feel special in those moments.
It's very important not to sleep on a lot of this stuff. Like you can't make your oldest or the middle, whichever.
Well, this is really going from 1 to 2, right?
But yes, so. but basically, don't make them feel replaced. It's because then that's when your problems can set in. They are still part of the family there, and you always want to make sure that you spend that time. That little lunch date that you have, make sure that it's really special. Make that count. Make it a big deal.
To be honest, all of these things of preparing your child, or like not just preparing, but the how to go from 1 to 2 more seamlessly, it's going to also help you as a parent, because it's going to help with, like, you don't want your kids to be jealous of each other. You want the bond to be good. And if they feel replaced, especially a young child, it's not going to be a good thing. And then number 3 is make sure you're helping your children bond. This is especially important if your children are young. So like I said, Anna was 1.5 when I got pregnant. She just turned 2 right before, like 2-3 months before I gave birth. And so she is relatively still young. The baby's a baby. Obviously, if you have a 7-year-old and then you're having a baby, that bonding and how you initiate that bonding and grow that bonding is going to be different. But when you have 2 young kids, you really have to like obviously be careful, teach them that, the baby's a baby, we don't do this with the baby, we don't do that with the baby can get hurt with this, the baby can't play with this. Teach them the rules of a newborn, but also hone in on the bonding of what they can do. They can sit with the baby, they can show the baby toys, they can teach the baby things like that. And as they get older, like I said, if you have a bigger age gap, obviously that is different. But my point to say of why you should be in like the main person helping your kids bond is that you are the parent, and one of the things you are in charge of as a parent now of more than one kid is making sure that you are helping your children have the best possible bond in your family environment.
And it's very important to note that when this was
3.
Make it a big deal. Like these again, like I said in the previous point. So in the previous one, I mentioned about like the lunch dates or the specific bond you have with your oldest, right? That's intentional and make it a big deal, make it very special. The same thing when they are bonded together, right? Making sure that they are working together, whatever those activities might be, because it's the more that they bond and get close in that capacity, the less issues are likely to develop from jealousy or from like always like necessarily like not being like when you have to go together baby needs for whatever that might be, your oldest won't feel neglected. So, and if you see me consistently like, looking down to let folks, I'm not asleep. I'm watching the babies on the camera right now. So I have to
we
keep
have
looking.
the baby monitor too.
So I have to keep looking.
And then number 4 is a big one depending on like different dynamics, but this was important to us. Not that it's an issue, but people just sometimes don't know. They have the best intentions, they just don't know because they're not in your family. Well, they're in your family, but they're not in your household, which is getting extended family involved and like on the same page. What I mean by that is like making sure that family thinks about the transition that your toddler and your family is going through, going from 1 to 2. One big thing is like, when the new baby came, we made sure to tell people, I know you're excited to come visit the baby and meet the baby, but don't be like all, oh my God, Eleanor, and forget about Anna. Not that they would intentionally do that, but everyone's excited about the new baby, and we wanted to make sure that they, showed Anna that special attention of like, oh my God, the baby. Look, Anna, you're a big sister, like including her and not excluding her, even in the extended family, making sure that the baby's gonna get all these new presents, maybe buy something special for Anna too. A lot of people bought her big sister gifts, so yeah, they did bring the baby new stuff when the baby arrived, but they made sure to buy a little something that was like a big sister gift. They told Anna, so as we were opening new stuff for the baby, it was also like, look at your big sister gifts, and she was really excited, and that really like made her feel a part of bringing baby home and things like that, and didn't get her to be jealous, but got her to be excited along with everybody.
Yeah, it's a lot of what tends to happen, whether it's by, I don't think it's intentional, but when people try to say, oh, well, you're not the baby anymore. Now
yeah, making sure.
Make that, when you say that to
especially a toddler.
To a toddler, then that makes it seem like they're not special, that they're not really a part of. That's not a thing. Like you wouldn't say that to. You wouldn't. Why would you hurt someone else's feelings in a different capacity?
So making sure that your family understands. We don't want to say that. We really want to focus on the bond between our kids, and we don't want her to think that she's only 2 years old at the time. She might not fully understand. So just making sure that even though you're going to be conscious as parents, the people around you are also conscious, and also like Anna is used to the baby. It's almost been a year. She loves the baby. We don't really worry about like the jealousy thing anymore because we've already done all these things and it's worked out. But one thing we did to stop the whole like you're not the baby anymore, but still not treat her like a baby, because she's not she's not a baby. She's 3 years old, and we were doing things like potty training and really like bigger kid stuff. Is I would say, like, you're not a baby, but the baby is my little baby and you're my big baby. Like, you're the big baby, meaning like you're a big girl, but you're still my baby. And the baby is a little baby, So she still feels like, oh, mommy, I'm still mommy's baby. I'm just bigger than the baby. And she really has understood that she is older than the baby, if that makes sense. 5 is making making time for your oldest kid before the baby arrives. So the other tip was making sure that you found activities, even if they were things at home like arts and crafts for like 10 minutes, to do while the baby naps, like to make sure your oldest still feels special when the baby's here. But this tip is just as important. Make time for them before the baby comes, because once the baby comes, they're not an only child anymore. They're never going to have that just me and mom and dad. They might if you do a mom and dad, daughter, son date like we did. We took Anna to Encanto on Ice. The baby was too young to go, so we had a family member babysit her for a few hours. We only took Anna. So you can do things like that. It's not like you're never going to have one-on-one time with both your kids ever again. I mean, if you want that, that's something that you intentionally do as a family, and you should do as best you can. But it's not, they're not going to be an only child anymore.
And as you're prepping, we understand, budgetary stuff. You're preparing with like buying, assuming you need to buy new cribs or bassinets, all the supplies and clothes, all that still has to add up. So you don't have to go do
big things
to prep. You can do very basic things. Literally go to your local library. I know it sounds kind of weird, like, well, who goes to the library anymore? Go to the library. They actually have
activities for kids.
They have activities
free
for kids,
activities for
free
kids.
stuff. You can just take a look at what's around. Go to the We'll have a video for the city pass that's coming later. But
so the thing we did, leading up to when I was like 7, 8, 9 months pregnant, like right before the baby, I think when I was like 9 months pregnant or like 8 months pregnant, we took Anna out to lunch, just me and her and Sam. We also made sure me and Sam made time for each other as like, last date night before 2 kids, because obviously that changes the dynamic of the family. But also making time for Anna, like taking her out to lunch, taking her doing things. Luckily our youngest was born at the end of June, and so the beginning of summer, and so we had springtime. The weather was nice. We took her on different things, just being intentional, like, oh, we're gonna spend this weekend, especially as your due date approaches, making sure that you're really, really spending that last time with, these are my last moments with my only child, like with her being an only child, because it does change the dynamic once you have 2 and they're no longer an only child. And then 6 is getting your oldest involved as much as age appropriate. So,
for example, like Anna will help change the diaper. What does that mean? She does not physically help to put the diaper on
or clean the poop. Right?
She doesn't do
she doesn't do that.
She distracts the baby, so that way if the baby's getting crazy out of hand, or they're very upset, she'll make funny faces, she'll make sounds, she will sing to her. So getting them involved
that's actually more now that she knows the baby and understands that the baby gets upset. When we first brought Ellie home and she was a newborn, the way Anna helped with diaper change was just bringing us the diaper.
Mm-hmm.
And the way she would help with bottle feeds, obviously we're not going to let her feed the baby, but she would bring the bottle from the fridge. And I was breastfeeding. She would bring me water. She would bring me snacks, things like that. And that also taught her, oh, mommy's breastfeeding. Mommy needs care too. Mommy just gave birth. It's a good lesson as well. She helps, like he said, distract her sister when she's upset. She sings Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. She brings the teething medicine for her sister, things like that. She plays with Ellie now, but it has evolved. So when we first brought her home, it was little things. Now it really has evolved to where she knows.
And I know it sounds like a lot that we just that we just kind of not say dump, but send Anna to do a lot of things. Anna's very independent, and she
wants to. She does it on her own.
She does it on her own. She wants to help.
Or she'll ask. So we don't ask her to bring the bottle. She'll be oh, I'm gonna bring you the bottle.
Yeah. So we encourage independence. So.
Yeah. So that might be part of it. It depends on how independent your child is, and if your child's even younger and maybe not as independent, you can still get them involved. Oh, I'm gonna feed the baby. Do you want to sit with me? Something as simple as that. I'm going to read a story to the baby. Do we want to read together? Things like that. So even if you have 2 under 2 and you're my child's really young, or you just have a toddler who maybe is not as independent, or a toddler who is dealing with a little bit of more jealousy than what we have experience with, there's still ways to kind of get them involved and get them out of that mindset of jealousy. 7 is to be intentional on how you introduce them. So when we brought, so like I said, we kept telling Anna, you're having a big sister, I mean a little sister, a little sister. And my mom watched Anna while we were in the hospital having Ellie. And so my mom, told her, oh, your mom and dad are in the hospital. Mommy's gonna bring home the baby, and like told her. And Anna was really excited. My mom also helped get Anna involved because Anna helped decorate the house with my mom for like welcome home baby. And Anna was really excited. But when we did introduce them, one tip that I got from a nurse that is on social media was that when you introduce the baby to the toddler, like in the bassinet, like just put the baby in the bassinet, let the toddler come to the baby, let the toddler see the baby. Don't introduce the baby with like the baby in mom or dad's hand, because you don't want the toddler to automatically feel like they're replaced or to feel like threatened by the baby or some type of competition with the baby. You want them to feel like, this is my new baby sister or brother, and they're so cute. And like, so obviously I did hold the baby right after, but I waited till, so like what we did was we called my mom when we were like in front of our building. We told her to put Anna in the room, so she put Anna in her room. We came in with the baby. My aunt was also here, so luckily we had some help doing this. But my aunt stayed with Anna in her room. My mom came out, saw the baby. The baby was luckily asleep, and so we put her in her bassinet all snuggled up. We told Anna to come out. She saw the baby and things like that. She like was sitting near the bassinet looking. We gave her a few minutes, and then we like, okay, you want to see the baby up close? Okay, let's go sit on the couch. And I grabbed the baby and I slowly introduced them and like told her, this is a newborn, be careful and things like that. And then slowly throughout the next couple days, obviously you're home, you're postpartum, you're just sitting home, we encouraged like her to just know that it's her little sister, and she was really excited about it.
Kind of like a sub bullet to that, which is like, this is one we talked about in our previous videos about communication is key, explicit communication is key. So being intentional with what you say, how you say it, like, and making sure that, again, that your oldest is feeling included, that they're not being replaced. There's no jealousy. Like, we're all one big family.
Yeah.
So again, communication is key.
Which Anna's really big on family, even though she's only 3. Like, I know some kids, I mean, a lot of kids are big on family, but maybe some of them take a little bit longer when they're older to like be bigger on family. But she's really, really family oriented, actually.
Which kind of already leads into the 8th one, right?
Yeah, which number 8 is teach your child that the new baby is an addition to the family, not a replacement for them. Yep. So keep saying like, you're going to be a big sister. Keep re-emphasizing that they're not a replacement. Keep re-emphasizing the excitement in a fun way.
And that they're going to stay here, that they're going to randomly leave.
Yeah, because when we were pregnant, we heard from other people that like, the jealousy happened after, because we heard from other people that like their toddler was excited to see the new baby, like, oh, a baby, but they didn't realize that the baby was going to be living with them. And then so once a couple days went by, they're like, okay, when's the baby leaving? And then they realized they never really explained to their child, the baby's not leaving, the baby lives here, the baby. So another thing, I saw this thing on, I think it was TikTok, where a person was like, their toddler got mad when they realized that the baby was mom and dad's baby, like them. Like that the mom and the dad were also mom and dad of this new human. So explain to your toddler that the baby is related and the baby is mom's baby and dad's baby, just like they're mom's baby and dad's baby. Because that could be a shocking realization, especially, I mean, obviously a kid, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is going to understand that without you having to explicitly explain. But a 1 or 2-year-old, you have to explicitly explain. They're going to be shocked, Number 9 is be aware, intentional, and conscious of your words when talking about the new baby.
You want to say about communication?
So this one is not so much when the baby comes. I mean, it is. You can continue it. But it's also when you're pregnant. When you're talking about the new baby, you don't want your toddler to be around and everybody's just talking about the new baby in an exclusatory way. So instead of like when I would be excited and I want to talk about the new baby, instead of saying like, oh my god, the new baby, I'm so excited for the new baby, because then Anna's gonna feel like, well, mom just keeps talking about this new baby, she doesn't talk about me no more, she's only excited for the baby, what about me? I would be like, I'm so excited, Anna, aren't you excited? You're gonna be a big sister. So instead of saying like, I'm having another baby, that's my excitement inside, but I wouldn't show that to her. I would be like, you're gonna be a big sister, it's gonna be so much fun to be a big sister, you know, and put the emphasis on their bond. And it really worked because it got her really excited. And last but not least,
the last one is something very important. It's called, remember, this is a season. You're going to go through a lot of hiccup. Look, right now, we already mentioned in the beginning of the video. If you haven't, go back and check. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. Is we don't post as consistently. We're getting back into it, but
now that Ellie's older, we're getting back into it. But these last months where she was a baby,
you're gonna go, you're gonna go up and down because it's managing 2 kids now. There's a lot of new things you got to deal with food, diapers, and forget finances. We're literally just talking about time. And don't forget, you also have to nurture your relationship between the 2 kids, each one, and yourselves. You have to be able to keep that in mind. So it's all a season. Frustrations are emotions are gonna go there, but you have to be patient and work through it section day by day and always talk to one another.
Also, like, everything with a baby is a season. We learned that with Anna. So with Ellie, it wasn't as bad because we knew, like, oh, you know, for example, the first 2 months the baby doesn't sleep through the night, right? They wake up every 3 hours to eat. With Anna, because it was our first baby, it kind of felt like it was never going to end because we didn't know when it was going to end. When is she going to sleep through the night? Oh my god, like, I'm so sleep deprived. With Ellie, it was a little easier because 1, Ellie is a better sleeper, but 2, we knew that, you know what, eventually 2-3 months in, she's gonna sleep through the night. Even though 2-3 months you're gonna be sleep deprived and it's still a struggle, we knew that it was a season. Right now she's teething horribly. She's getting like 5 teeth at one time. She has like, she's been sick, Anna's been sick, so it's been a hard week. But we know that like the teething will subside.
Yep.
The cold is on its way out. And so she will like get back to her normal self. She's been having a rough week with being sick and horribly teething, and also Anna was, like I said, it was been crazy, but it's a season. You know, Ellie, you know, with breastfeeding, it's breastfeeding. I love breastfeeding. I love the benefits of breastfeeding. I breastfed Ellie now for the whole first year of life. I'm weaning her now that she's 10 months because I want her to be completely off the breast by 1 years old. So I'm still breastfeeding like in the morning and the night, but not during the day. But like for the first 10 months of her life, I was breastfeeding every 4 hours, right? It can get rough, even though you like it, even though you want to do it, even though you like the bonding, it can get tough. But I had to remind myself that like it was a season, and that's what got me through breastfeeding for a whole year. Because with Anna, I was a first-time mom and I didn't know that much about breastfeeding, and I didn't last a year, and it is what it is. But like with Ellie, I had a more successful breastfeeding journey. Part of that was mindset and knowing that like this is just a season. You're only going to breastfeed your daughter for the next year, and then next thing you know, she'll be a toddler like Anna, and it'll be a memory.
Adding to that, it literally was what I was just about to say. Like, it's a season, so yeah, we talked about like the ups and downs stuff, but enjoy those ups.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy the time that you have, because presuming that you're done after 2, then that's it. You know, it was, I had a little like choked up moment when I had to throw out the bassinet because that's it. We're not having any more kids, so I had to throw that out. So that was a little like, wow, like we're already at that stage. So now, because she's in her own crib now, so it's like,
and she's in the room with Anna. They're sharing the room now. We redid the room for, you know, it used to be an only child room, everything for Anna, but we redid it to be cohesive for sharing.
So again, enjoy it. It is truly a season that you're gonna have to really embrace.
Because as much as the hard times are a season, the good times are a season too. Like Ellie, you know, she's starting to like, what's it called, like cruise on furniture. So I'm sure that eventually in the next few weeks she probably will let go of that furniture and take her first steps.
Yep.
So and that's exciting. That's an exciting season. But also the teething, maybe not so much exciting part of the season. So yeah, and everything is a season. So the harder parts, just know that they are temporary and just enjoy the happier parts. The harder parts, just try to get through them. But definitely, these are our top tips for preparing your baby, like your older baby for the newer baby. These were more tips for when the baby comes. Some of them were during pregnancy, but I do want to do a full video on prepping your toddler for before, like during pregnancy, like the specific things we did. That was our number one tip on number one, but I want to go into detail. I just don't want to go into detail in this video because I don't want to overload it. So stay tuned for that, where I show you the things I actually bought and did, and go more into depth on how we prepared her, what we did, like what we read. I'll show the books, I'll show everything, but that'll be like a part 2 to this. But
please like, share, subscribe, drop a comment. Again, if you haven't done so already and you've been with us from the beginning, thank you so much. We really do appreciate it. If you're new, please hit that subscribe button and or drop us a like. That really helps out with everything that we're doing moving
and if you
forward.
have any other questions about parenting 2 instead of 1, parenting young toddlers, or the whole like preparing your baby, anything that we didn't cover, then leave it in the description box below. Have a good week and see you next week.
Bye.